all these wars that are in the Middle East, it seems like a lot of them, the Middle East policy for the United States has been dictated by Israel, and that's why we get involved in these conflicts. But then there's also was always this talk about getting the natural resources of the Middle East to obtain oil. How much of that is true? Do you think that we are incentivized to go into, when we went into Iraq with the Persian Gulf War or Afghanistan? Was it to control natural resources? Because I don't think it really affected. When I heard about that, I remember in school when I was a little kid, I was like, okay, well, gas is going to get super cheap, but I never really saw any difference, for us. So what is there any truth to that we're holding this as collateral or whatever?
Again, there was a lot of talk about that. In the end, we benefited very little. I mean, certain, like Halliburton, right? Politically connected corporations in the U.S. certainly benefited. But it wasn't that we actually got the oil and it really made any difference in a significant way to the U.S. economy. I almost wish it were true, because that would show some kind of rationality. Yes, it would be evil, or it'd be very self-interested and detrimental to the global good, but it would be intelligent, right? It would show that you can kind of deal with a self-interested entity, a rational actor, and but that's unfortunately that's not what we have. We have ideologues, in charge. And if you want to look for the reason for the Iraq War, you go to the neocons. And if you want to look for a reason for U.S. participation in maybe in a war with Iran, again, you look at Zionism and you look at the neocons, and these are ideologues that we're talking about. That's the unfortunate thing. We're dealing with irrational actors.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking as well. It's like, surely there has to be something that America gets out of this, right? There has to be something that we're doing out of our own self-interest, even if you say it's evil. I mean, just like in the old days, Vikings would go over to Scotland or whatever and raid and pillage and, destroy. But at least you understand that they were doing it because they were taking something. They were taking resources and bringing it back. I mean, it was barbaric, but we're doing it. And we're not even taking anything back. It's like we're just spending money. We're just wasting our resources and getting nothing out of it. Like, I mean, you
get
not
people
right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. That's right. It's an empire that, again, is not to our benefit. You get some people on the left. It seems like I used to hear this more often than I do now. I think this kind of viewpoint is dying, but it's still there. It's very, you find it quite frequently on the left, that it is somehow all about economics and this empire is, to our benefit. And I listen to their arguments, but I've never found them at all convincing. I think what you can say is that is like a lot of these wars can be to the benefit of, certain corporations, and they clearly do, work to support wars, but they don't even care what kind of war it is. Like if you decide today, I'll give you one example. Dick Cheney, he's, we think of him as like Mr. Neocon now, but he used to be, he went in and out of government. And I think he was actually associated with Halliburton, outside of government. And at that time, he was working to actually make peace with Iran because they had, a chance to, for some huge oil contracts. And then he changed hats, and then he was all for bombing Iran. I think in the end, those kind of people, they don't care. The ones that are truly self-interested, the corporations. I mean, if you want to make peace with Iran, great, and let's go bomb Saudi Arabia. Or, it's just like, in the end, it really doesn't make any difference to them. They're not the ones that are setting policy, but they leech onto the policy and they see, oh, that's the way we're going. Yeah, let's support that because wars are good for us. But yeah, it's the ideologues. The policy that we have is really very much against our own interests. Even just looking at it, however you want to look at it, making enemies of Russia and China and Iran all at the same time it should be nobody's surprise that that's brought them together and actually severely weakened our position. But these people are just in the grips of this, this vision of hegemonic, supremacy, and again, they're neocons who want to export the revolution, so that they just don't give a damn about the nitty gritty reality. They're always on the attack.
Right. Yeah. I mean, if it was having this military going around the world and was to our benefit, we wouldn't be $35 trillion in debt. Right. I mean,
Right.
it's a big part of our debt is because of the military expenditure, and we're not getting anything back from it.
Right.
And
Actually, you get that. Okay, let's say that self-interested, rather ugly imperialist kind of talk from Trump. Like he actually said it's great that we're just seizing the oil from Syria. Actually, in the end, we didn't even get it, but I guess like Turkey's getting it, and but yeah, that's thuggish kind of talk, but it's not neocon talk that you get from him. In the end, but if he actually was in charge and he could have, and he had the truly in charge, meaning that like he's not just, I think he was in a lot of ways just a figurehead in the last time he was president. But if he had, if there was a whole real Trump revolution within government and they implemented his vision, that's the kind of world that we would see. We would actually be trying to seize resources and without regard. We'd probably make a deal with Russia and who knows, turn around, make a deal with Iran or something because we'd see it was to our benefit, and then go attack, Saudi Arabia and seize their oil. It's just, I'm just making this all up, but it'd just be, he's not an ideologue, whatever you can say about him. He's not an ideologue the way the neocons are. And, when he talks about, he just talks, he believes in American power and American wealth, and, he really doesn't care how we go about it.